My name is Cass. I'm 42 years old. I was diagnosed at the end of 2014 with triple negative breast cancer in my left breast. I ended up doing 6 rounds of chemo, a lumpectomy, and 25 or 30 rounds of radiation. I honestly can't remember. It was a long time. That was 9 years ago, um, almost 10 years ago now. So everything was good up until the second week of January of this year, January 2024. I woke up, normal day, was in the shower, and all of a sudden I found like a massive, it wasn't even it was like under my armpit was like completely swollen. It was like this huge, like swollen, hard area. And I'm like, shit, cancer's back. So, anyway, went through all that, called the doctor, got the appointments, ended up going for a I think they had me booked for a mammogram. Yes, a mammogram and an ultrasound that day. And I pretty much knew, I'm like, there's no way that they're not gonna biopsy whatever is happening under this right armpit. So anyway, did the mammogram. And and by the time I'd gotten in and got booked for the mammogram, my right breast had doubled in size. I called it the Franken titty, and my doctors have it on their chart. It was the Franken titty. So it was something. And it was all swollen like beside it and stuff too. But anyway, I go to get the Franken titty mammogrammed, and of course, and the poor girls that are doing this are just like, my goodness, like, this looks like it hurts. I said, it doesn't feel good, but we have to do it. So I did the mammogram, and they did both breasts, just obviously. It's hard too because I'm young and I have what they call dense breasts. So dense breast tissue and cancer looks exactly the same in a mammogram. It looks white. So it's hard to, sometimes the mammograms don't always catch stuff like that. So they sent me to another room, and the girl was doing the ultrasound on me. And like, people that do ultrasounds on boobs, they don't make facial expressions. And I remember that from last time too. There's not much expressions. So she's doing the ultrasound, and like, there's a lot of clickety clackety, and I can't see anything. Not that I would even know what the hell I was looking at, because that's not my occupation. So I don't know. So she's doing it, and I'm like, she has like this look on her face, and I can tell, like, by the time she was done, the look had changed to like there's something in there. So she looks at me and she's like, I'm gonna just go get a doctor. And I was like, yeah. And I already knew this was coming. This wasn't my first rodeo. So I said, okay. So the doctor comes in and goes, yeah, we're gonna do a biopsy right now. I said, yeah, kind of figured you were going to. Like, already knew this. So anyway, the doctor does the biopsy, and I think, yeah, they do freeze you. I mean, you still feel it, whatever. Anyway, did the biopsy, did that. I already knew when they called me, like, a few weeks later, like, I knew it was cancer. I wasn't, I knew, how could it not be? So anyway, started that process. So this time around, I had to do 16 chemo, well, 8, yeah, 16 chemos. 12 of them were weekly, and then the last 4 were every 3 weeks. So the 12 I seem to have handled pretty well. There was it was Taxol and something else. Plus I was getting immunotherapy like every third time with these treatments. A lot of bone pain I noticed. I think after the first chemo I did, I was like pretty nauseous, and then they changed my meds and I was fine. But yeah, a lot of bone pain with it. That seemed to be like the main thing, and like, which has now left me with what I assume is arthritis everywhere. My knees, my hands really hurt. Like, I walk a lot, so I'm like, well, my knees and my hips, like, that's understandable. I do walk. Like, I've been off of work, so I've been probably walking anywhere between like 10 and 20 kilometers a day. Like, I'm usually averaging about 18 and a half kilometers to 19 kilometers. So yeah, understandable if hips and knees are not doing well, but like my hands, my wrists, like, so I don't know. It just kind of showed up all at once. Like, it was there, but like not as intense. And now it's like we're in December, and it was like, I feel like by like November, it all just showed up, this like arthritis. So I don't know if that's like gonna go away with time. I'm not sure. I didn't have this last time, so I don't know. Um, yeah, so those are okay. They were tolerable. I mean, chemo's not pleasant. My body seemed to tolerate those chemos okay. Then I did the last 4 treatments. They were awful. I think that's the AC, the one they call the Red Devil, the one that the nurse has to like physically like put into your PICC line, or we do PICC lines here. I know some people do ports in their neck or whatever. We do PICC lines in the arm. So I'm here in Canada. So anyway, those ones have horrendous side effects. By the time I was like, I couldn't I couldn't taste anything. I could barely eat because everything just tasted so disgusting. Water was a nightmare to try to get in. I was so dehydrated. And they send you with a nurse. I had a nurse coming after my treatment. She would come and put like a liter of fluid in me through my PICC line. It would run for like 3 hours with like this pump or whatever. And like, I mean, I probably could have had a bag of this fluid going in me every day because I like so dehydrated to the point where, I'd go do my blood work when they can even like get a vein and they're like, yeah, you're dehydrated. But it was just hard. It was hard to drink. It was so hard. And I I know you're supposed to keep yourself hydrated and like, the doctors will tell you like just eat what you can. And to a point that's true. If you're having a hard time eating, yeah, anything helps, but definitely I was trying to eat a lot of protein. I didn't really care for meat a whole lot, so I was eating mostly just like eggs. It was a lot of scrambled eggs and spinach, and I was actually adding cottage cheese to my eggs just to add more protein to it. Think it maybe helped, but by the end of treatment I was down probably like 25 pounds. My stomach was like completely caved in. I could not get food in me, and it was awful because you feel so weak and so sick. Bones were sticking out of my hips. Like I haven't seen that ever. I mean, I've always been like a really like I've always had a good appetite. Like I can eat. I'm half Italian. Like I eat. I was brought up with food. I love food. Like I love food. But I did not love food this summer. It was really disgusting. Anyway, so that's kind of how I felt. And then just when you think you're getting better, like I was hoping I was getting better. I finished my last treatment on August 30th. I was so excited. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be like real sick for like maybe a week or two and then I'll get better. Well, by the third week, I still wasn't doing well. I still couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. My taste buds were still gone. And I ended up like not being able to breathe. So I ended up in emergency for 2 days because I ended up with pneumonia when I had absolutely no symptoms of pneumonia whatsoever. Like I didn't, even the poor doctor that was like asking me all these questions, he's like, so you've had no sore throat, no fever, no nothing. I guess I did have like a slight fever, but I have one of those like scan um thermometers. Oh my god, chemo brain. Sometimes you can't think of words. A scan thermometer. It wasn't picking up, so it was still registering like my temperature was normal. So when they did like an under the tongue one, slight fever. So I guess I did have like a slight fever. I just didn't know. I'll like honestly, when you're sick all the time, you can't tell if you have a fever, which is why they tell you like get a thermometer. So probably get an under the tongue thermometer. I don't think a forehead one's quite as accurate. I would get one that goes under the tongue because you really can't tell. Like you cannot tell when you're just getting hammered with chemo like constantly. You can't tell when you're sick anymore. You don't know because you always feel sick. So anyway, poor doctor was asking me like all these questions. I'm like, I don't know, I felt fine. Like, anyway, turns out it was pneumonia. They gave me some gout medicine because I had fluid around my heart. It was a whole thing. Anyway, like 2 days of taking the gout medicine, like I was fine. I could breathe again. Like it was crazy, but it worked. So I'm still on it till like the end of the month. They gave me like a 3-month prescription or whatever. So anyway, that was that. That was my chemo journey. Then next we go into surgery. I ended up I had to have a double mastectomy because I do carry the BRCA1 gene. So my next video I'll get into surgery, maybe what you need, how I was feeling, and maybe this will help somebody. Hopefully it helps.